Hello creatives, my name is Tyler Zachary Karenko, fashion designer, entrepreneur. Welcome to the House of TZC, where we're building better fashion businesses together. This video is going to be the first video in a 4-part series where I talk about my collaboration with the international fast fashion retailer SHEIN, I think colloquially known as SHEIN. Throughout the series, we're going to talk about the collection itself, we're going to talk about the actual process of working with them, we're going to talk about sales and profits, and then we're going to end the series talking about my overall thoughts on the collection and my overall thoughts of the company. So let's get into it. Whoop! The brief that I was given for the collection started with saying that we can only design for one category. That meant that we could either do menswear, children aged 7 to 12, women's wear, plus size, and there could not be any unisex collections. And could only be a maximum of 10 to 15 garments, of which only 2 of those could be sets. So like a top and a bottom that went together. And it was up to their discretion if they even wanted to sell those as sets anyway. It also had to fall into the fall-winter collection for 2022. And I think when I first signed up, I was told by them that my collection would be released around September, October. Then they gave me some core demographic information on their current customer, which their primary segment is going to be females age 18 to 25. And then their secondary segment was going to be females age 25 to 35. That's like a huge clue. If you want your collection to succeed, then you're going to want to pick females, and probably females in that 18 to 25 range in their primary demographic. They then told me what it had to be and what it could not be. So it had to be fast fashion accessible, and it could not be, and I'm going to read off my list here, could not be swimwear, lingerie, but loungewear was okay. Could not include denim, corsets, down jackets, and you could have one puffer jacket, but only one puffer jacket per collection, and it could not be athleisure. They said that it could not include any of these fabrics, which were real denim, any animal products, sweater or sweater-like fabrics, customized pattern brocades, and you couldn't use PVC as a main fabric. They only used cotton, polyester, spandex blended fabrics. They also said it could not be a basic. So what that means is that it had to have some sort of design element and that it wasn't at least 80% close to a design that is already on their website. So at this point now I have exactly what my collection can be and can't be. I took that information and I literally started with a list of saying, okay, so I know that I want to get in the middle of those 2 age brackets. So I probably wanted to be about 20 to 28 years of age. And I did want to focus on women's wear because I did want my collection to succeed. For my research, what I did is just scoured their site. I've never personally shopped on SHEIN before this, so I was kind of unaware of what kind of things sell on their site. I had an idea, but I wasn't entirely sure. So when I actually got on the site itself, I started scrolling through all of the different designs I saw. From all of these designs, I then would go and click on the ones that I like or that I think kind of fall into the categories that I designed for already. And then I would go through and I would look at how many reviews they got, what their star average rating was, and then what the comments said of what people said about the garments. And then my plan was to then create garments around those or alter these designs to fit into more my aesthetic, but picking designs that are already selling on their site. So I found 4 categories of designs that perform really well. That became the inspiration for my entire collection. I wanted to combine or find the crossroads of chic, athleisure, sexy, and streetwear. That's a lot of different directions to take, and I kind of melded it into one. So once you see the collection, tell me down in the comments if you actually think I achieved that. After I knew what design direction I wanted to go, it actually came down to the design process of then figuring out how I was going to make it. I went through my past ready-to-wear collections that I have created, or collections, that haven't gone anywhere, just extra designs that I've drawn out, things that just come to my mind, narrowed them down, and I picked some pieces out of each of those collections and then put them together into one collection, and I kind of altered them to make them fit together. I added in some new ones. I kind of made them make one continuous story to make sure that they all look like they came from one collection, even if they didn't. And then I created a color palette that I thought might be interesting for this like fall, maybe September, October area. Okay, so this ended up being the final collection that I submitted to SHEIN, and tell me what you think. Do you like it? Now, even though this is the collection I submitted, not all of these designs actually made it into the final process. They did give me some feedback and they wanted me to alter a couple of the designs. The brown top, the white jacket, and the black top were too similar, and they wanted me to alter them a little bit. And then they also decided that the white pants were a little bit too basic and that the black shorts were too basic, which I can kind of see what they were talking about on the black shorts. I think that those might be a little bit too basic for what they're looking for. From here, I'm going to show you each piece next to the illustration that I originally designed or the secondary illustration that I got with the actual garment that they showed on their website. And I'm going to decide that as I pick up each design from the unboxing and I go through them with you. So I have the box here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the box arrived in like early December and I was way too eager. I wanted to hold off and do a whole unboxing with you guys and live my little influencer fantasy, but that didn't happen because I pre-opened it, but I retaped it so we can do that together today. Oh my gosh, this knife doesn't even cut through the tape. I need it to tape. What'd you think? Was I successful? Probably not. That's okay. All right, let's jump into these looks. We are starting with the orange top here, this asymmetrical orange top. Pulling this out of the package, I first want to point out that something that I am just a little bit disappointed in is that they did not put my name or brand name on their hang tag at all. It just says the SHEIN X, which is just the program that I was doing it with. I just think it would have been nice for them to include my brand name on the collection since these are my designs, just another way of getting the designer's name out there, but you can't really fault them since I literally paid nothing in order to make this collection and I'm still making a profit. So what I have to say is that this design actually was one of my favorites and I think one of the most popular when I was doing some like pre-research after I had initially designed the collection and shown my friends, and they were like, oh, I think I would buy that. A lot of people said that this look or this top was something that they would buy, something that they were already interested in. Getting it here and now feeling it in person, the fabric is just very thin. Honestly, like, I think it's not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of this top. To be honest, this just doesn't feel the way it needs to feel in order to achieve the design that I was looking for. Also, I'm a little disappointed in the sleeve aspect of it. I just don't think it achieved what I was exactly looking for. Overall, the design is still pretty close to the actual illustration that I gave them, minus a couple things. The jumpsuit is actually really nice. I tried it on my husband because he is my personal mannequin. It actually looked really good on him, and I think that, like, overall, I think it seemed a little long. I mean, I gave them measurements to how long I wanted everything to be, but I think I made this just a little bit too long. I can't fully blame myself on not thinking that this was too long because the procedure of doing the fittings and seeing how everything fit was a little bit different than I have ever experienced before. So we'll talk about that in the design process video. Overall, I'm actually kind of happy with this piece. I will say that it ended up being really, really close to everything I wanted it to be, except for one major thing, and that is the color of this garment. I do not understand why they made the color this white color opposed to the cream color that the pant portion is. It was supposed to be all the same fabric. I'm not sure why they made that distinction there. These garments are actually a collaboration. They are not just my designs, so I have to be open to them making alterations to the garments. So here is the skirt. The white skirt is interesting. I think I've had a lot of positive responses from people who've actually bought this skirt. I'm just gonna have to get over the fact that the fabric wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but that's just because, remember, we are working with a fast fashion retailer that focuses on blended polyester fabrics, and I think that, like, had this skirt been in the fabric I wanted and had some design elements been a little bit closer to what I was looking for, it would have been more my vision. But I mean, this definitely was a good middle ground for where it ended up at. All right, it's like Christmas almost getting through all of these. Now I have the white dress with the one sleeve. This was another garment I tried on my husband, and just truthfully honest, I hated how see-through it was. It doesn't matter what you were to wear. If you wear underwear, if you wear nothing, you are going to see every bit of your body under this dress, and that makes it unwearable to me, and it kind of just a waste of money. I wish that if that were the case, that they would have told me and we would have changed the fabric, because that is not acceptable. You can't wear a garment that is completely see-through. So this garment has a color blocking sleeve, which color blocking was an element that I used throughout the collection. I wanted to mix these athleisure fabrics with something that seemed a little bit more chic, which that's what this dress was supposed to do. So it has this, it's 100% polyester. I don't remember the name of this fabric exactly, but it's polyester. But this fabric, I wanted it to be a little bit more stiff, and then I wanted the dress to actually hug the body, so you kind of get some of that chic, sexy, athleisure moments in this dress. I mean, overall, the dress is okay. I think that my original vision for this dress, which came actually from a collection that I did for Derek Lam 10 Crosby for an interview, which I did not get the job for. I think that that dress was kind of more my vision for it, and I did take this dress from that collection, but it is altered a little bit, so that is, it's not exact. I wanted it to fit more into the SHEIN customers, so tell me what you think. If you like any of these, by the way, I would love to hear what you say, or if you don't like any of them, or if you have visions on what you think they could have been, let me know. I'm really quite interested in that. So now we have the black bodycon dress with the mesh inserts. I will say about this dress that it probably is the garment that turned out most similar to the final inspiration. In fact, I would say it's 100% the final sketch. I tried this on my husband. He doesn't wear dresses, but he did shorten it and kind of take off the bottom, and it turned out really well on him. And honestly, he's gonna wear this as a top because it looked really good on him. It fit him perfectly, and it's kind of like a cute little moment, like sheer moment. Then I have the orange top. So I will start by saying I cannot blame them for how this turned out because I should have known, but the material is just not successful in achieving what I actually wanted the design detail over the shoulders to be. This shirt is good for layering. I think I had always planned for this top to be under the orange dress, which I'll get to later. It is fine. It made it there. It made it to the final vision. It just, had the fabric been a little bit thicker, this would have turned out more like a roll instead of more like a flap over the shoulder. But I mean, overall, it actually doesn't look that bad. I did want it a little bit longer than it came back. Like I was expecting it to be almost to a crotch level, where this kind of just goes to like a high hip area. Let's just jump into that orange one since we just brought it up. The first one that specifically got sought out. This dress actually looked really great, and it looked great on my husband too when I tried it on him. The only thing is though is that his chest didn't really fit into it, and if his chest doesn't fit into it, then I wonder what anybody with an actual chest would look like in this garment. But overall, the design really did get really close to everything I was looking for. I am actually happy with this garment. I don't know how it would fit, and I would like to see how that garment actually fits on somebody. Now we have the brown top. I mean, overall, this garment turned out exactly how I expected it to. I would say that this is probably the garment that turned out second closest. The color is maybe a little off. I think I was looking for something a little bit darker, more of a brown instead of a tan. But I mean, overall, it's fine. One thing that I don't like about it, I was hoping for it to be a zipper instead of a button at the top with an open keyhole neckline in the back. But I mean, I can't be mad at this garment. It fits exactly how I wanted it to fit. It's a little bit boxy, and it has the sheer cold shoulder, which is, you know, which I liked. It brings in that sexy element to something maybe that's a little bit more athleisure in style. And now we have the black pants. These black pants actually turned out really well. My husband actually was like, oh, I'll wear this because it has the sheer part to the knee and to the thigh, which he really liked. So I got these to fit him. But yeah, I think these actually turned out okay. They were I think honestly, this design ended up doing a lot better than the shorts would have. So it's good for the season too. I mean, the fall winter part of the season where it's still a pant, but then it adds this like, you know, kind of sexy element down the middle. Honestly, I think that piece really kind of hits that sexy athleisure again. But now let's jump into the sheer black top. So this is a new design, one of the new designs that was not in the original collection that I showed them. A design that I added after they asked me to remake the black top. So I added a button up. It's supposed to be oversized, which I think a lot of streetwear is oversized, but then also I wanted that chic element of like a black button up, and that sexy element of these like curves that with the see-through elements. So overall, I'm actually really happy with this garment, and it performed really well. Again, the design would have looked better in a better fabric, but overall this design turned out really nice, and I think that it looks good on a lot of people. The jacket, oh no, I'm sorry, the white pants. So I do not have a lot to say about these pants. Actually, I have a lot to say about these pants, but because I'm contracted, I cannot say as much. These pants were not the vision, but also they were. I cannot blame SHEIN for how these pants turned out at all, because this was the secondary design that I gave them. I don't know if I wasn't being clear enough with what the design was supposed to look like, although I think I was, or if it just wasn't achievable in a fast fashion concept. They were not producing it well, so I had to nix the color blocking on it, which was fine. It made them all white, and it looked way better all white. But then the tie at the bottom, and this was completely my fault. I added that on because I thought that if I added the tie element at the bottom that it would kind of give the same effect, and it did not. I'm not a fan of these pants, but that is just a personal opinion. I think that there are definitely people out there that could find them to work for their body. I am not a fan. And that's my fault as the designer. Now we'll go to the white jacket, which this is another one that they had me alter and change the design element of. I was very surprised on how this actually turned out. It was supposed to be kind of like a windbreaker jacket, which, I mean, you can kind of see in the sketch in the final photos. I think they kind of took it into this like really like hardcore vibe, but I mean, that doesn't matter. Anybody can style it to make it their own. I was not a big fan in any of the fitting process for the sleeves. I thought the sleeves looked terrible, and I thought it made it look bad, but then when my husband actually tried this on, it actually turned out really well, and I think that people who bought this garment could actually make it work for them. So that was the one garment that I would say was a really interesting surprise. I thought I was gonna hate it in person, and I actually didn't really mind it. I only have 3 more. The final jacket, so this is the printed jacket. I got this one to fit me. It's nice to have some elements of this collection that I could wear. And it does, it fits me, I like it. It was supposed to be a little bit thicker in materials, closer to a jacket, and I think this is more of like an oversized shirt for most people. The print itself, I wanted it to kind of resemble exactly what I was doing on the dress and exactly what I was doing with the draping shapes of these like lines that cut across the body. So that is exactly what I illustrated out. One thing about prints when it came to it is that prints could not extend over seam lines. So anywhere where there's a seam line, it had to break the print, but that's okay with me. I think it would have been nice to have it go down onto the sleeve, but that wasn't an element that was allowed. But I mean, like with the pocket, this is exactly what I expected. This is what I was designing for, which you can see in the sketch too, because I designed it, you know, knowing that that's how it was gonna have to turn out. And then the sweatpants, I mean, they were really close. The one thing that I'm annoyed at with these sweatpants, and again, this is a fast fashion thing, I believe, is that these pockets are fake. They don't have an inside to them. There's just a flap, and they don't have like a button to keep this flap down. So like when you're walking, these like come up, and that's a little annoying. But I did wear these. This is another piece that I bought for myself. I'm actually really happy that I finally have made something that I have personally put on my body, because in school I often designed for women. And then the skirt, which I'm not gonna pull off the mannequin, I did this sunburst pleated skirt. First of all, it was supposed to be color blocked, 2 different oranges, but instead of that happening, it ended up being just the one, because the 2 fabrics next to each other just did not go, and it was just because of a lack of colors that they actually had in the 2 fabrics that are used on this skirt. This skirt actually came from one of the looks that I created for the Derek Lam collection. It did not actually make it into that collection when I submitted, because it was only a capsule, so it was only 5 looks, but this would have been the extra part of that collection, which was, I think, my favorite design coming out of this. I think that's everything on the actual collection itself and the inspiration part of this project. I mean, like I said, this is going to be a 4-part series, where in the next one we are going to talk about the actual process of working with them to make the collection. So make sure you stick around for that, but that is going to kind of come in between some of my other content, or the content that's actually why I'm here, which is to actually make and produce my fashion brand. And I'm going to get back in next week, I believe, to designing, making, producing, and selling my first actual solo collection, Tell It to the Bees, which is inspired by love, loss, devotion, and the secrets that we whisper to the bees. So if you are interested in that, here's a playlist that will continue to grow. But until next time, sweet dreams, creatives.